felt like, I don't know why I did that, but I just felt like it right there. Well, Jesus is a way maker, Jesus is a way maker, Jesus is a way maker. One day he made a way for me. When my life was dark and dreary, Jesus came and he answered my prayer one day. He made a way for me. Is that thing falling or my knees going out on me? Is there an orthopedic surgeon in the room? I need some Advil right now. I'm hurting. That used to didn't bother me several years ago. Woo! And one day the sun refused to shine. Innocent life of mine, I pray most night and day. That my Jesus would make a way. And then he heard my prayer and answered then and there one day. He made a way for me. Well, Jesus, if y'all expecting the Perrys to come here, well, Jesus, he is a way maker, Jesus, he is a way maker, Jesus, he is a way maker. One day he made a way for me. Well, when my life was dark and dreary, Jesus came and answered my prayer. One day he made a way for me. There's more than one of us up here with a screw loose.
Can we get a small screwdriver?
Should have started out on this one. Now, my wife and baby girls are back there in the back. Mary Alice, Gabrielle, and Gracie, wave your hands back there. There's the girls back there in the back. And they're hanging out. But I'm going to tell you, our girls, we try to be involved in what they do. There's nothing like having a union member on hand, is it? He's getting time and a half right now. That's doing good.
I don't guarantee it.
Is that camera on right there? The Lord Terry's coming back somewhere 50 years from now, like great-grandchildren will be looking at that going, what did my family used to do for entertainment? But we try to be really involved with our girls and what they do and check things out when they do things and Mary Alice and if she was not in the room I would still be saying this, but I just brag on her that she is such a not only a godly wife, but she's just a great mom, and that we're old-fashioned. We were talking about this last night. We were talking about difference last night, and we were talking about the fact that times have changed, and for us and our family, everybody has to work out what's right between them and the Lord. But for our family, we want to be there with our girls, and because sometimes I have to go away 2 or 3 days, Mary Alice is so great at being there, so that if they've got Awana classes or Bible classes, she's involved. And when they got ice skating, they're there. When Gabrielle is in, she does ice skating for, what was it, Nutcracker on the Ice and all that. Then we volunteer, and you were busy, man. I'm not saying what. And we volunteer, so the one of us is there every night in the room there in backstage with her, you know, and all that. But we just think, and I just really appreciate that my wife is always part of that. And so that even when they go to their school, she goes there as a school helper to be there, and we're right there, and we're just really involved in our kids' life. Well, I say that to say this. Well, Gabrielle told me a while back that that she wanted to be in what you call it, gym. What do you call that big word, Mary Alice? Gymnastics. I knew gym because I used to go to gym class. Now it's nastics. It's put on the end of it. Gymnastics. That's a big word. See, I'm being from Alabama. The only 4-syllable word I knew before I married my wife was watermelon. That was it right there. I didn't know those big words. And so anyway, so we thought, well, if they're going to be involved in gymnastics, we're going to check it all out. Hey, listen, it's good. It's good. Are you still working on that?
I gave you a different one.
Okay, well, good. Yeah, I was going to say just let it go, because actually, if it falls, I would enjoy it. I live for those moments. It's good. But anyway, so we called up there and thought we would meet with them, and to check it out. So we made like an appointment. And when we got there, there was a young guy came out, and he was kind of I know he was straight out of college. And I don't say this I don't say this to be mean, but I know he was straight out of college because he still knew everything. You got to give them 3 or 4 years, but when they're first out and they're making $7.25 an hour and their student loan is $1.5 million, they haven't realized that this is not really working out too good. But the young man, he met us, and it's a big deal now. Any of y'all into that gymnastic stuff? It's a big deal, and it's a great, big, huge room. And we got there, and kids were bouncing and jumping and everything. And he said, "Well, Mr. Lovelace," he said, "so you're the father?" And I said, "Yes." He said, well, what decade did you grow up in? I thought, well, that's really none of your business. I said, well, I was born in 57. I said, I was a youngin' in the 60s. He said, oh, times have changed. He said, back then, you all were not getting exercise properly. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, you didn't really. He said, today, and he started naming all these. He said, we now know how to properly train children to get all of their muscle groups. I don't know about y'all, but we lived outside. My muscle groups were well worked out when I was a kid. I said, well, what are you talking about? And the scripture that came to mind when he said, oh, you have no idea. He said, what we have today is new, and we can now develop all these muscles. The scripture came to mind with, there is nothing new. Oh, anybody with me? I said, well, then what are you talking about, big boy? He said, well, first of all, he said, well, see the ropes over there. And these kids were climbing up the ropes, and some of them ring a little bell, they'd climb up and come back down. He said, did you have that? I said, we climbed up a rope, but when we got to the top, we got out on the tree limb and jumped in the river. There's a whole lot more muscle groups involved in that right there. And he said, well, what about this? And they had like little balancing beams, and they were only about that high. These little kids are out there with their arms out, and they're going across the balancing beam with little pads. He said, did you ever do that? I said, we had a log across the creek. Anybody with me? Ain't nothing new under the sun. And then he said, now look at this. And he was telling me what muscle group they were using in the back of their legs and all this stuff in their in the back of their legs and their foots and stuff. And anyway, they were squatting down like this. Now I'm telling the truth. He said, now, can you tell me that you had this? And these kids were squatting down. I'm not making this up. And the teacher would say, Gabrielle can back me up on the teacher would say, jump. And the kids would jump up in the air and try to turn around and do like a 360. They'd squat back down. He'd say jump. They'd jump up and spin and come back down. He said, now can you tell me that you did that exercise?